Hi, Greg with leadershipmentor.com. So this week I want to talk to you about what I call your communication plan. And when we talk about a communication plan, basically what it is I like to work with new leaders and supervisors to help them understand the importance of really putting together a well-encompassed view of how you're going to communicate with everybody around you. So that's your team members, that's your manager, it could even be with your peers. Coaching sessions with your team members, and then having team meetings where you're building rapport with team and getting them to know each other. And then finally meeting with your manager, which is really an overlooked area. In this session, we're simply going to look at one-on-one coaching sessions with your team members. So let's take a look at what I think is really some great practices and benefits of doing these one-on-one sessions. First of all, I think the purpose of one-on-one sessions is to focus on career development, discovery of talents, and desires. And so this is an opportunity for you outside of all the chaos and the busyness that you have to really take a look and meet with people and find out what is it, first of all, that they have in terms of talents and desires. So where do they want to go in the organization? What are some of the things that they're good at? Do they enjoy numbers and putting together Excel spreadsheets and that kind of thing? Where do they want to go? Do they want to be developed into a supervisor like you? Or do they want to go to a different supporting role? Those are all really important elements to understand so that you can continue to develop this person as they come along. And so that's really very motivating for team members, obviously, because they can see that staying with the organization and being a part of your team is providing them with a good career path, and they feel accomplished each time that you meet with them because you understand where they're going, what they want to do, and you want to leverage their talents and the things that they enjoy. I think another purpose is it's time for team members to really ask questions. And I like this concept because what it means is team members will continually reach out to you as a supervisor. They'll interrupt your day, and those things I understand are necessary. But what we want to do is have a regular time that we meet with people, and then they can hang on to some of these questions because they know that they have dedicated time with you. You can encourage them that if it's not urgent, but it is important, it's something that they want to discuss, that they make a list so that when their scheduled activity of a coaching session with you comes up, they have a list of things that they want to go through. And then finally, I think building a professional relationship, we want to have dedicated time for us to really develop a relationship, a healthy business relationship with our team members where they understand you as the leader. What do you value? We want to demonstrate to our team members that this person is important and you're so important that I'm going to dedicate time to meet with you and to talk to you and to understand what's important to you. So these are all things as far as like what the purpose of a one-on-one meeting would be. And I think that if there's anything that you do to develop a team, what you're looking at right here is probably, I think, the most important thing to develop and motivate people because their performance is going to continue to get better and better if you're filling the needs that they have. Strategy when it comes to one-on-one meetings. The first thing is we want to schedule these in advance. Like I said, we want them to be able to identify and create a list of things that they can discuss in this one-on-one time. So if they don't know when that is, how do they know if it's something that they can hang on to, make a list and bring to you, or do they just interrupt you on a regular basis and reach out to you with these one-on-one questions? And so I would say that it's important that you're consistent. We'll talk about that in a minute, but schedule these things in advance so your team member clearly knows when they're going to be able to meet with you. They need to be conducted in private. And I know in this day and age, a lot of us are working remotely. So this is a little bit different where you don't have to try to find a room. Traditionally, I know in organizations, especially with kind of contact centers, customer service centers, it's in an open environment. And so it used to be obviously more challenging to be able to take them and bring them to a place where it's more private, where you can discuss things without interruptions. So if that's the case, you're still working within an office environment, then we need to make sure that we do take them away from where there's going to be a lot of interruptions and visual interruptions and noises and things like that. If you're in a virtual environment, obviously it's a little bit easier to do that because you really, all you see is that other person one-on-one. And it's important that you're doing this visually and not just like over the phone. You can still do them over the phone, but I think with the technology that we have today with Zoom and Teams and other technologies, it's so easy to be able to connect with somebody, not just to see what they look like, but as you talk to them, you can see their facial expressions and you can see when you start to talk about something or when they bring up a topic, what energy are they bringing to that topic? And you want to really be aware of that. But that's an element that's really important to really engage with somebody. So it's not just what you hear, but it's also you can see, are they engaged? Are they paying attention? Focused on development, again, using coaching skills. So the focus of these one-on-one meetings, as we've talked about in the purpose section, is that we really want to focus on developing their skills and their talents. We want to motivate them so that each time they meet with you, they feel accomplished, they feel energized, and again, they feel like they're going someplace within the team and the organization. So we want to just focus on development. And then the conversations really should flow from one session to the next. And that's why consistency is important, that they're scheduled in advance, because you want to be able to start out a conversation and talk to them about where do you want to go and what are you good at, what do you really want to do. And so as you build from one session to a next, you already have that knowledge. And so you have a session with them. Maybe you find out they really like to work within Excel. And during that next week, you can start to assign them something, and maybe they bring that back. And then the next one-on-one session that you have, you can talk to them about what you liked that they did, maybe some opportunities to improve it. So let's look at some helpful tips just real quick on this to finish up. We want to make sure that we remove all distractions, and cell phones are probably the biggest ones. In the virtual environment, I don't think there's anything more annoying than when you're on a Zoom call or a Teams call, and the person that you're talking to now looks away and they have another screen and they're reading something. It's so obvious to know that you've lost their attention. And so same thing goes for you, that when you are meeting one-on-one with somebody, it's really important that you have good eye contact. You're going to lose your team members' respect really quickly if you try to multitask during that. Be positive and supportive. So the idea of these one-on-one sessions, again, is to make sure that they are something that the team member looks forward to. It's an opportunity for them to ask the questions that they've been hanging on to. It's an opportunity for them to ask you questions and to learn and to grow in their position. It's an opportunity for them to hear you provide them with positive and supportive feedback of some of the things that you observed during the week or however long it's been since you met last time. So be prepared with those things, but we really want to focus on these times to be very positive and supportive. You want to use good open-ended questions. And so again, part of our coaching course is really understanding what coaching is. And the essence of coaching is ask a question, and an open-ended question, and then be quiet and let them talk. There's nothing that's going to develop them and motivate them more than getting them to talk about how they feel about doing certain things that they enjoy. You don't want to be doing all the talking. And I've been in these sessions before with people that I've reported to where all they did is talk. They had a list of things, and it was really just a meeting, really. It wasn't motivating. It was informative maybe, but it didn't really allow me to express myself and to talk about things that I wanted to do or things that I've done that I want my manager to understand that I did. So use good open-ended questions and get used to listening 2 or 3 times more than what you talk. And allow for their agenda items. And this, again, I talked about this when we started out, that we want them to come to the meeting with questions, with topics that they want to discuss, right? Anything that they may want to bring up. So when they know that they have this, they have a list, they're prepared. What I like to do, start out the one-on-one session, ask them, what topics do you have? Not that they're going to go into discussing them. You expect them to come to this one-on-one session with a few things. It doesn't always have to be a lot, but just have them kind of read off the topics that they have. That gives you a good idea of how much time you may have to bring up some other things that you wanted to provide them with some positive feedback with. But the importance is that you ask them that, and then they're conditioned that the start of every one-on-one meeting, they should have some things that they want to bring to the table and to the discussion so that the flow of these one-on-one sessions can continue. And then finally, be consistent. I've talked about this already, but it's really important that when you set up your communication plan, what you want to do is make sure that these sessions are short enough that you don't find yourself canceling them. So if you're going to try to do like a weekly 1-hour session with 15 people on your team, my experience is that's not going to be effective. But you could do maybe 30 minutes every week or even every other week. Whatever time frames you decide, it's important that you dedicate that time and be consistent where you're not going to cancel that. So some cautionary items. Don't mix behavior coaching in these sessions. If you have something that a behavior change, something that you observe that they need to change, you don't want to bring those up in these coaching sessions. I know a lot of times we do that, but it's not effective. So back to that idea that we want these to be positive and supportive. If they feel ambushed, that when they come to a one-on-one meeting with you, that you're going to just make a list of things and kind of dump on them all the things that they need to change and improve, they're not going to look forward to this, right? They're going to feel like this is a session that it's really a reprimand session. And so do those separately. And we want to obviously do those close to when the behavior took place anyway. So don't mix this negative feedback with these one-on-one sessions. Don't use leading questions. I don't think anybody likes that, where you have an agenda item, you're trying to drive them to a certain place to discuss something, where you're just using leading questions. And I can't really elaborate too much on that right now, but I think you know what it feels like when you have a conversation with somebody you report to and they start to ask you questions, and it's like, okay, I know where you're going with this. And then reschedule if emotionally charged. And that just means that whether you have an issue with the person you're meeting with, or more commonly, if you're just having a bad day and everything seems to be kind of irritating you, and you don't think that you're going to be able to be in a positive state of mind, even though I want you to be consistent with these sessions, I don't want us to have these sessions where they're negative and your emotions are driving the topics and the conversation. It's far better to just cancel them than it is to have one that's very demotivating for your team members. So that's really it on your one-on-one meetings. I hope you found that helpful. Again, super important that you have a communication plan overall, but these one-on-one sessions, I really want to encourage you, even if they're 15 minutes every 2 weeks, make it a priority to engage with your team members, understand what it is that they want to do within the organization, what do they like, what do they dislike, where do they want to go. All these things are just super important to build a really positive, productive, high-performing team. So I hope you have a great week, and I hope you found some value in this. Take care.